Soft influencers, let's get booze.
Listen to Abe Thompson for an hour. I'd rather fuck a blood relative.
It's Abe Thompson.
And we are live on a Saturday this week, Saturday the 29th of April. Normally I do a Friday night show. Some of you will no doubt be aware. This week I was out with my Patreons last night, so you get a Saturday show instead. And it's a Saturday solo one also. Normally, Friday nights are guests, but I didn't book one this week. I think because I knew that I was meeting the Patreons, and then I'm not really sure what I was working out diary-wise, but anyway, here I am. And you're here with me. Let's fucking do this, guys. Welcome to episode 172 of Abe Thompson and Other Disappointments, your twice-weekly delve into the worlds of politics, dystopia, and all things awful. I am your host, Abe Thompson, and you can think of me like a sort of... this is for the benefit of the new listeners. Numbers have gone up a lot. So welcome to all of the new listeners, and a doff of the cap to the veterans also, the binfluencers. But think of me like a sort of, a Willy Wonka kind of character, dancing around the dystopia, pointing out the awfulness over here with my cane and my top hat, just dancing. I'm like a host of it. I'm the host of awfulness and dystopia, pointing it all out to you. And somehow, through me pointing it out to you and you recognizing it, you know, there's some sort of catharsis to that, then it's, you feel better about it for some reason. I don't know how that works psychologically, but it does work. Misery likes company and all that, I think is the phrase, isn't it? Anyway, so yes, I'm Abe Thompson, or at least I was. I'm now actually more accurately the aftermath of he. Following a fairly beery session with my Patreon backers last night. Doff of the cap to all of you who managed to make the trek yesterday evening. It's always lovely to meet everyone in person. God, I felt fucking rough though this morning. I just do not have the stamina or tolerance for heavy alcohol sessions anymore, man. I'm like... I know most episodes I'm on here, kind of ranting away, and whether I've got a guest or by myself, I'm usually on here with a beer in my hand, right? But there is a stark difference between a guy enjoying a beer while, I record, and then maybe another one while I edit, and then I go to bed. So what's that, like 2 or 3 beers, right? There's a stark difference between that and leaving work at 5, smashing back a couple round the corner, then going to meet everyone, then getting on the 6.5% IPAs, and then stumbling into a fried chicken place, fucking, and like one-eyed, watching old stand-up videos on the train, trying to not nod off, and then getting home at like 1 a.m. And then I wake up at 5 because my, 2-year-old is a shitbag. It's a lot, for a 42-year-old to manage. But you know what? I am managing it. I did do that. And still, I'm back here the next fucking night with a beer in hand, clocking in for you all. Some might say that is hugely indicative of alcoholism, Aid. Maybe you need a break from it. But no, I'm choosing to misinterpret it as work ethic or something. Dedication. So anyway, yeah, Patreon meetup last night, good fun. Tequila is becoming something of a staple with these nights, Like the last one we all met up in October, and somebody was buying tequila, a load of shots came out, and I was like, yeah, okay, I'll get involved. And I had oh God, I felt like death the next day. Tequila used to be like the fun drink back in the day, didn't it? Tequila, like when you're like 19... and you have a shot of tequila, it's like, yeah, it's party time, man. I see the tequila there. It's like, yeah, who's celebrating? Who got a raise? Whose birthday is it? We're on tequila, so it must be a big night out. We're having a good time. You see a 19-year-old drinking tequila, and you're like, yeah, he or she must be celebrating something or just having a good time. They're living life. That's what you think. You see a 42-year-old drinking a tequila, the first thing that goes through my mind is like, that poor bastard is going through a hell of a divorce, I reckon. Like, you know, it's just a different connotations, I think. But anyway, yeah, tequila did appear again last night, but I managed to resist. I am capable of learning sometimes from my poor decision making. I got talking to some people from Beavertown last night while we were in the bar. So that was cool. I was like, do you guys know anyone that works in marketing or like, you know, brand partnering at Beavertown? You know, is there someone that partners with like content? I was like, you know, because I've got this show, this podcast, and it went top 40 last. You know, I'm not bragging. I'm just saying, like, here's my pitch, right? It went top 40 last week, and it would be perfect for a brewery to sponsor. It really would be. So anyway, I met these, and they were like, yeah, you know, I'll make a note of it now. And they took my name down, and they subscribed to the thing. And, you know, hopefully, you know, maybe they could turn into a sponsor. And that was quite cool. So I'm fingers crossed here about that. What's up to you people that I met last night, if you are listening to this? I really hope they Google me and it takes them to a half insightful like thread that I've written, you know, about media or about newspapers or something. You know, something clever, something witty that I've written. You know, or maybe like a video clip where I've got someone half famous in it, you know? I hope that's what they find when they Google my fucking name. But I know that sod's law, it's going to be like, this is how it'll go, right? Yeah, we met this guy on Friday, and he does a top 40 podcast, and he's looking for a brand partner, you know, to sponsor. And it would be perfect for a brewery. So, oh yeah, is that right? Oh, okay, yeah, sounds fun. So who is he? And then they'll type in my name. They'll get like straight to some tweet. Tories fuck livestock. The fuck is this shit? So, no, I'm not partnering with this guy. Is he insane? Like, I don't know. Maybe it'll come to something. Maybe. Probably not, though. For what it's worth, though, like, you know, I do really like Beavertown beer, guys. It's good beer, people. For what it's worth, you should definitely go buy it. Go buy some Beavertown, people. Some of you are probably thinking at this stage, like, oh, yeah. You and your fucking politically divisive potty mouth aid. You know, you're going to end up landing them in some hit piece in the Daily Express. You know, people will be on some Bud Light boycott shit with it. You know, brand disaster. Oh, but I'm sure they'll disregard all of that brand toxicity if you just say that you, an idiot, like their beer. It would be better if you said that you don't like their beer, to be honest, Dave. You're that much brand cancer. Anyway, so that's fun. What else is going on? What other podcasty admin? Oh, yeah, we hit 21 Patreons, guys. That was a goal I set myself for the podcast. So that means I now have to put on this cult Sunday sermon thing, because my Patreon is a cult. I'm trying to build a cult. In the post-apocalyptic Britain, we're all going to need tribes to protect us and look after us, and a cult makes sense. If you can build one, then that is a solid post-apocalyptic strategy in my mind. So, my Patreon is a cult, and it has now reached 21 members. And one of the things I'd said was, when we hit this mark, I'm going to do a full-on Sunday sermon somewhere. Like, get a gown on, you know, get mad culty. Get some, like, a Kool-Aid bar in the corner. I'm going to do a sermon. There's going to be, you know, I might get Supatansky down to read a psalm. Like a comedic, satirical, anti-Tory psalm. Maybe I'll ask Otto English. For some reason in my mind, I think he'd be really good at this sort of thing. Get Otto English to read out like a parable or like a teaching or something. And then instead of like doing, you know, sips of wine and wafer like they do in Catholic mass and shit, you know, we just have Kool-Aid or craft ale or, you know. I don't know. I think it'd be a good time. So I'm going to do that. And that's coming in July. That will be a ticketed event. unless you're on the Patreon. And then I think I'll probably make it free. So if you're interested in that sort of stuff, if you want to come and see some, what effectively will be a night of stand-up comedy, and maybe I might do a live podcast, I don't know. But it'll be, this Sunday sermon thing. That's probably going to happen in July. The tickets will be on Patreon for that. So jump on Patreon, man. Anyway, with all of that out of the way, now let's get into this, shall we? Let's talk about whatever the fuck is going on out there. What is happening out in Newsland? What's on your mind, grapes, people? What's the big story of the day? The big story for the Daily Express this morning, I don't know if you guys saw it, was they are campaigning to silence Gary Lineker. Again, these are the same people who habitually complain about cancel culture, who habitually end up with empty balls over the topic of free speech, you know? Who are then front page, an opinion headline. It's not like the news. It's not what happened. They're not reporting the news. It's like, we have to silence Gary Lineker, or words to that effect. It's fucking nuts. We have to silence Gary Lineker must be silenced. Right, okay. Weren't you just wetting your pants over fucking like people being silenced and cancelled? Are we going 180 on that now? Are we? Oh, okay. And this sort of like, this inspired a little thread from me this morning on Twitter, where I was saying like, it should be an ipso fine of like £100,000 when newspapers or tabloids, anything that pretends to be a reporter of news, if you style yourself as a newspaper, whether it's broadsheet or tabloid or whatever, if your headline on the front page is opinion, and I don't give a fuck if it's like left or right or whatever, if it says we must do blah blah blah, or if it says now Mr. Sunak you should blah blah, like that is opinion, that is not news, that is not what happened. If it's that should be £100,000 fine instantly, because it's so irresponsible. It's not telling people what the news is, it's giving people your perspective, you know? And given the setup of how news is in this country, like you get your 8 or 9 newspapers every morning, and they all have the headlines, and they're your topics. That's the talking points for LBC and Good Morning Britain and Sky News. Like, we've been through this a million times before, I know, on this podcast. But just for the benefit of new listeners, that's how the news is set for the day. 5 or 6 editors that run majority right-wing newspapers print some shit about refugees or foreigners, or how Harry and Meghan are X, Y, and Z this week. And then the rest of the media landscape take that baton and fucking run with it. So you end up with talking points. Even like you could look at most issues and go, oh, well, there's a left-wing angle to that and there's a right-wing angle to that. Yeah, but there are some subjects that are just right-wing in their very nature. If you were setting talking points, if all of the headlines were coming from a purely left-wing space, we would be talking about social justice matters constantly. We would be talking about equality. We would be talking about in-work poverty. But we're not talking about those things. Instead, every other fucking day, it's like small boats this, refugees that, benefits scroungers that, and these are right-wing talking points, and then they bleed into the LBC and BBC breakfast sofa landscape, right? And that's why I think if you have an opinion on the headline of a newspaper, it should be fined, because you must fucking know that headline is going to be taken at face value with no context, no backing, no foundations or anything. It's just going to be taken by a couple of talking heads on LBC that morning, who will then read it and then go, well, Peter, what do you think of it? Do you think Harry should be tried for treason? And then Peter's going to go, oh, well, he certainly got himself in a pickle, hasn't he? And then, that 15-minute segment talking about Harry and Meghan. And it's like, if everything starts from this not even just a right-wing talking point, but literally a right-wing opinion, we have to silence Gary Lineker, what fucking hope is there of having a balanced democratic political discussion if that's where the shit starts? Oh, getting myself well fired up. Anyway, so that was the Express's headline this morning. Don't know if any of you caught that one. What else is going on? The chairman of the BBC is resigning, guys. Major news story. Big news story broke last night. It's interesting that the Express were clearly adamant that they were going to report on a BBC scandal. It's clear. I mean, they really wanted to go for a BBC scoop, right? We have to silence Gary Lineker because he's speaking out about political matters and the leadership of the BBC. He's getting a bit political. We have to silence him. He works at the BBC. We pay his salary, etc., etc. They really wanted to go for a BBC scoop. And yet, guys, you fucking missed the big one. The chairman of the BBC, Richard Sharpe, is stepping down. Anyone know why? Anyone over at the Express? No? Raise your hands. Okay, all right. Well, okay, I'll fill in the gaps for you. I understand the confusion because, you know, he facilitated a loan to Boris Johnson to keep him caked in privilege throughout his premiership and to, you know, pay off his wallpaper bill, I think. And presumably to fund his colossal takeaway bill. And maybe pay off a CCJ here and there. I don't know. But anyway, we knew he sorted this loan out for him, right? Richard Sharpe. But we also, I thought, we were told by Boris Johnson that this guy had diddly squat to do with his personal finances. Do you remember that shit? That doorstep interview? Where Johnson was like, Richard Sharpe knows diddly squat about my personal finances. I can tell you that, said Boris, as he made his way from his townhouse to his waiting car. And yet, you know, this guy knows nothing about his personal finances. And yet, as this report is laid on the desk of the Prime Minister, who happens to be Richard Sharpe's ex-employee, his ex-direct report himself. Like, Sunak used to work for Richard Sharpe. You guys probably know this already. Like, if you're listening to this, you're probably quite politically aware and active and stuff. But just in case you don't, you're not aware. Sunak used to work for the BBC chairman, Richard Sharpe. He used to work for him at Goldman's, I think, in the city. Like, they're all interconnected, these people. Anyway, look, the report about the chairman's involvement in Boris Johnson's personal finances, that report lands on Rishi Sunak's desk yesterday, highlighting who loaned money, who loaned what money, how much, to whom, and how it was brokered. And on the day the report lands, right, Richard Sharpe goes, yeah, fuck this. I'm not going to stick around for this shit. You know, like they both assured, Boris Johnson and Richard Sharpe both assured everyone that there was nothing to. No. He knows diddly squat about. No. I'm confident that I will be fully exonerated in the report. Like all of that, and then when it actually comes down to it, when the report lands on the desk, he's like, "Yeah, I'm fucking out of here," with all the grace and guilt of, you know, like what's that scene in Friends where Joey is about to get found out as the shit dance teacher, you know? Do you remember that one? Like he's lied to get the job as a dance teacher. And then he can't teach the class to dance properly. So they perform terribly. And then this other guy's like, come on, Joey, you know, show him how it's done. And then he's in hot water and he's about to get found out as a complete fraud. But rather than face the music, like literally facing the music in that instance, he just like instantly runs out the door, right? That is Richard Sharpe. Right now. Like, hey, Richard, the report that's going to fully exonerate you, that's just landed on Rishi's desk, is back over it. Like, do you want to read it with Richard? And it's just the sound of his car starting and pulling out of the BBC car park. Like, where did he go? Like, I don't know, man. Complete, like, out the door. As soon as this report lands, just knows he's in shit. But I can understand why the Express may have run to the Lineker thing. Because, you know, if you took it at face value, if you believed that Richard Sharpe was going to be exonerated, if you believed that he had diddly squat to do with Boris Johnson's finances, you may have not been expecting this. And so then when somebody like Gary Lineker pops his head above the parapet again, you know, maybe you're thinking, oh, that is clearly the big BBC story today. Let's talk about that. I believe Boris Johnson 100%. If Boris Johnson says it, that's good enough for me. They may be thinking, or may have been thinking, in the Express Towers. Cheers, by the way. I was listening to the Newsagents podcast earlier, and Lewis Goodall was saying something quite alarming on it. Like it was like, you know, fine 800,000 was supplied or brokered by Richard Sharpe, or we know, you know, he had some involvement in that transaction, and that he was then later installed as the chairman, right? We know these things happen, like possibly not as utterly abysmal as literally like a quid pro quo arrangement between Johnson and Sharpe, you know, like a full-on bribe to get the job. But it's the perception of that hire being that corrupt. That perception is as damaging as, like, almost had it been that corrupt, just the perception of it means that he has to go anyway. But anyway, like Goodall said in the podcast, he says, like, the actual source of the money is still unknown. Like, how wild is that? Like, we know Richard Sharpe brokered the deal, the money, but whose money was it? And what the fuck did that person get in return for loaning almost £1 million to the in-office Prime Minister of that time? And Goodall's saying in this podcast, he's like, you know, Sunak says it's not in the public interest to disclose the loss of that money. And Goodall's like, you know, it obviously is in the public interest to find out who is loaning £800,000 to the serving British Prime Minister. That he's, you know, why would somebody lend that amount of money? And why can't you just tell us? Like, how would you think that's not in the public interest? And you know what it kind of reminds me of, right? It kind of reminds me of the SNP shit I was talking about the other week. You know, they're getting their garden dug up because they can't account for the missing £600,000, right, of campaign finance. Like, we still don't know where that money's gone. Like, what weird and evil shit did you blow 600 grand on that was so bad that you would rather the whole country watched your garden getting dug up and thought that you were murderers? Like, getting your garden dug up, like how bad is it that you can't say where that money went, that you'd rather think that we all think that you rose fucking west? That sort of thing, right? And this Sunak stance is kind of the same. Like, what is the source of the cash funding the former Prime Minister's lifestyle, right? Who is that person? Who are they? Who is it that is so bad that you would rather ignore the question and fob us off and have everyone think that you're hooky as fuck as well, Mr. Integrity and Transparency, you know? I pledge a return to integrity and transparency. Okay, well, what about the possibility, and it is a possibility because we don't fucking know where this money came from, what about the possibility that the last PM might have been bought by malicious actors and paid off in rubles or fucking Colombian blood money? What about that? No comment. Great. How very fucking transparent. In some ways, and you're going to have to hear me out on this, but in some ways, I kind of feel sorry for Sunak, you know? I kind of feel sorry for him. There's a lot of you probably screaming at, you know, your podcast player or YouTube or whatever now, like, feel sorry for him. Fuck you, Aid. No, I won't feel sorry for him. Look at all of his policies and his shit needs. But I just mean, like, you know, here's why I feel sorry. He's not an idiot. You know? I mean, he is kind of an idiot. You know, he's a bit sort of fumbling and a bit, you know. But he's at least half in touch with reality, you know? Like, I know he has trouble working a fucking card reader in a garage and, you know, and I know he's a robot and all that stuff, but But I sense that he is in touch vaguely with like there was a quote. There's a quote I read. Some source had said that Rishi Sunak had privately, he had like sort of sworn in disbelief that he had to have Suella Braverman in his cabinet. Like he doesn't like her. He doesn't want her in his team. And the quote from this source was like, oh, God, that means I have to have Suella fucking Braverman, for fuck's sake. Like, he was in like, oh, like, so he gets that she's ridiculous, you know? You can sense he's in touch with reality, that he knows how ridiculous the Marc Francois of the world are. And he'd like to move away from the baseless populism stuff. He would like a return to integrity and transparency. But he's as much a prisoner of this stuff as Theresa May was, you know, and Liz Truss would have been if she had stuck around longer than a few weeks, right? It's the same as with all, like, they get in the big seat, they get the job that they've always wanted, and they think that they have this, you know, this vision and these ideas for how they want to change and improve the country their way or whatever, only to find out that they're stuck having to negotiate with cretins like the ERG and the fucking Net Zero Watch Group, and, you know, and then they too have to placate the donors. And their ex-colleagues were so corrupt that it all blows up as a big BBC recruitment scandal that you now have to spend time sorting out and talking about that instead of the shit that you would rather be talking about, you know? It's a sort of Shakespearean tragedy with Rishi Sunak, I feel. It's like, you know, a Shakespearean play about ego and ambition, you know? Like he gets the throne that he's always yearned for. But when he finally gets it, guys, it's not quite what he thought it would be. You know? But I mean, look, here's the thing with this Richard Sharpe loan and the source of the money and shit. Like, here's the thing. Sunak is going to have to reveal who supplied Boris Johnson's cash to him. He's just going to have to. Because it looks too shady to not now, you know? Like, it's possible that if this report had arrived differently, if this report had gone through the same, you know, processes and been conducted by the same King's Council and all of that stuff, but if it had gone down a slightly different trajectory and the conclusion had been different, if the report had concluded that actually Richard Sharpe, although he was, I don't know, on a call here and there about campaign funding or, you know, CCHQ donations, he wasn't actually involved in Mr. Johnson's personal finances. If that report had said that, if it had been kinder to him, it's possible Sunak could have then just said, well, you know, the report's findings were clear. Obviously, if new information emerges, then I may get dragged back into this. But for now, I'm going to draw a line under it and I'm going to crack on with my priorities, which are to stoke the culture war for the next 12 months and hope the electorate are dumb enough to care more about women's changing rooms in gyms that they never fucking go to than 12 years of failure. Like, he could have just cracked on if the report had been a little bit kinder to Richard Sharpe. But given the report didn't say any of that, and actually what it says is he failed to disclose his involvement in it, in like conflicts of interests, you know, which presumably must mean he had a reasonable amount of involvement if it requires disclosure, right? If that's the case, like, he's going to have to reveal the source of this money. It just stinks too bad, man. But here's a question for you, dear listeners, right? Away from the subject of the source of the money, back into the realms of resigning BBC chairmans and their close proximity to power and bias and, you know, all of these buzzwords and, you know, pinch points that we touch on when we talk about a story like this. Here is my question, right? Do you think it is possible, dear listeners, to have a credible BBC chairman anymore? Do you think that's possible? Do you think that job, much like, Sunak going for Prime Minister, do you think that job is just a sort of, poisoned chalice? Do you think it's possible to have a sane, unbiased chairman of the BBC now? I don't know if it is. Because if it's someone appointed by Sunak, it kind of has to be a Tory, doesn't it? Like, they wouldn't let him just hire a sort of neutral or like centre-left media lovey type. It has to kind of be a Tory. It'll be someone with some overlap there, some relationship with the Conservative Party. Like if it was the former controller of ITV, stepping up into the role, Tories would lose their fucking minds. They really would. Like it's so paradoxical as well. Like if it was the ex-editor of The Guardian, what's that guy's fucking name? Alan Rusbridger, isn't it? It is Rusbridger? I think it's Rusbridger. Alan Rusbridger. Anyway, former editor of The Guardian, right? If it was him, the Mail and GB News and all that right-wing ecosystem, they would just have a mass collective pant splat. They really would. At how outraged they'd get to be for the next 5 years, wouldn't they? Yeah, Alan Rusbridger is going to be the next chairman of the BBC. Oh, man. Oh, this is going to be fucking sweet. Make hay. Like they can wheel out all the Guardian tropes and they can blame everything on the BBC being, lefty, liberal. Like, they'll come out, oh, well, what do you expect with a fucking Guardian editor as the chairman? I don't watch the BBC anymore, Gary. Not since they put that woke bastard in at the top. And yet, Rusbridger is an internationally renowned news, media, and new media thought leader. He's proven, he's celebrated, he is Mr. fucking Pulitzer, right? Is he perfect? Fucking no, obviously not. But does he fit that profile perfectly as someone who could, lead the BBC into this century with a bit of vision and a commitment to transparency and informing the public? Does he fit that? Absolutely. Yes, he does. But would he ever get the job? No. Like, the paradox is there, man, isn't it? It's like, Sunak absolutely would never put a Rusbridger in because the right-wing press would shit themselves inside out over perceived bias. And yet, the next person to get the role will basically have to be the counterpoint to that perceived bias, but just on the other side, right? So it will end up being a Tory, a stooge, a friend of CCHQ. Honestly, right, the best thing Rishi Sunak or his team, whoever is actually deciding this, I'm pretty sure it's Sunak and his supporting staff and, the culture select committee, or I don't know, whoever that group of people are, right? The best thing they could do is probably hire someone in from overseas, truly. Like get the ex-director general from CBS in or something, just someone with no skin in the game. Someone that hasn't spent time mingling with, New Labour types or hasn't been playing golf with fucking Oliver Dowden, Just someone with no skin in the game. They don't own a red or a blue tie. They just, they're just a TV guy or woman. Let's try and keep things, diverse, if not realistic. Just someone who wants to make good television. Like, how about that? Remember when the job of BBC chairman, right, would just be as a sort of, figurehead, right? At the helm of the BBC. It would just be someone who would go and have tea with the royals, right? And then they'd try to make a few good TV shows. Now the whole shit's got so political. Whenever you read a news story about the chairman of the BBC, now, what's your initial reaction, guys? If you see the word BBC and chairman in a headline, immediately you're like, oh God, what's this one done? You know, like who's this one? Like, has he been implicated in the arson of a refugee centre or something? No. Well, okay. Well, was he wearing a swastika tie to the Con Club Christmas party? Like, just tell me this: how many times has he walked into the Carlton Club in the last year? 17. Oh, fucking blinding. Yes, sounds like a perfect choice. What else is going on, man? What's the other big... Oh, it's a fucking coronation. It's the coronation, isn't it? I don't even know when it is. I'm that much of a fucking Republican revolutionary lefty these days. Completely tuned out of it. I used to think that kind of made me not exceptional in the, you know, aren't I amazing way, but just like the exception, the edge case. Most people were in, you know, not if not into the monarchy, then broadly supportive of it. They like the Queen, basically. But these days, I feel like, you know, society is catching up with my anti-royal hipsterdom. Like I was into republicanism before the rest of you kind of got in. I was into hating on the royals before it became cool. Possibly not before Harry and Meghan, though. They may have picked me to the post on that one. But yeah, it feels like now there is this sort of growing sentiment of tedium with it all, doesn't it? Feels like more people are kind of getting a bit fed up with it. And there's been polls over the last few weeks, right, as in the run-up to the coronation, where so many people are just saying, we're not really interested in it. Like, the stats are clear. Over half the country say that they are not interested in this fucking coronation. Like, the Queen was popular. The Queen died. Charles is now king, or, you know, officially very, very shortly will be. You know, at the moment, he's sort of, you know, king-elect, I guess. Although it's, you know, obviously it's hugely undemocratic, the whole idea of a monarchy, but you get the idea. It's like he hasn't been sworn in yet, or, you know, whatever. But he's not particularly popular. People don't love Charles the way that they loved the Queen. The Queen was popular. Charles is just... he couldn't hope to touch the popularity that the Queen enjoyed. Also, Harry is kind of the big star, isn't he? For better or worse, some people hate him, some people love him. I'm sort of indifferent, to be honest, but he is the big star. He's Prince Harry on the front pages of all of the newspapers, doing his documentary, releasing his book. People that love him respect him for having walked away from this institution and, you know, speaking his truth and pulling up the curtain and saying what we've all long suspected, which is that they all have these weird private PR departments and they play games with the press and brief shit about each other, and it's a mucky, dirty, grubby, horrible world. Harry is the figurehead of that. People find William a bit dull, don't they? People find William a bit fucking dull. Dane Baptiste put a tweet out last week, and I replied to it, or I quote tweeted him or something. And between the two of us, we're basically sort of shining a light on how very, very infrequent you ever hear Kate Middleton speak. And I think, you know, I don't know what that's about. I don't know if it's a, you know, you have to retain some mystery. You know, for PR reasons, it's actually better if you speak very, very rarely, Kate. You know, by all means, like when you're cutting a ribbon, when you're opening something, you know, say, it's an honour to be here, by all means, that's fine. But no, we don't want you to give speeches. We would like William to do that. He's going to be king. He's the figurehead. He'll be blah, blah, blah. So you just take a back seat. You want to be mysterious, and you know, is it like a PR sort of thing? Or is it actually something hugely problematic? You know, like he's the man, he's the leader. You just stand there and look pretty, love, you know? But anyway, with Harry being the big star, William being a bit dull, Kate not really fucking talking, Charles being hugely unpopular, like, I don't know, man, like, if they want the monarchy to survive, they've got to do something, man. You know? They've got to recapture the narrative. And I don't know why I'm sort of saying, I don't give a fuck if they sort of, you know, peter out. I think I've said multiple times on different episodes of the podcast, you know, I'm not necessarily all for banning the monarchy. I just think it should be kind of defunded, you know, wind the shit down. I'll tell you what, though. With William being so kind of dull, you know, if they wanted to make him more interesting, if they wanted him to appear on more headlines, to get a few more column inches, maybe they should have let that shit leak out about his affair. I don't know if any of you heard about that. They all universally, all of the papers, they appear, I don't know if they've definitely done this, but it appears that way. They appear to have agreed to not talk about it amongst all of Fleet Street and the breakfast TV shows and like all of that. There is a sort of Borg-like agreement amongst the great British Free Press to not talk about Prince William banging Kate Middleton's mate. Like, I don't know, man. Like, maybe the most expensive PR department in the world should have actually let that one out. Because honestly, that was probably the most interesting thing about Prince William. He fucked Kate Middleton's mate, did he? It is strongly rumoured to have happened, yes. Kate and she no longer talk, in fact. But it never really bubbled up because, you know, reasons. Anyway, the royals, you know, it is a fact now. It is a statistical fact that we're kind of bored of them. You know? With Prince Philip's funeral, you know, the coverage. No one fucking watched that shit. Nobody was watching the days of coverage. All of that, like, you know, official period of mourning for His Royal Highness Prince Philip. Like, no, like, why are you broadcast? Do you like losing viewers? Is that what's going on? Who is buying the advertising on ITV and Channel 4 while you're pumping out this nonsense that's not, like, no one's watching it? 17-page royal exclusive commemorating the death of the Queen. Who's reading all of those columns? Not me. Probably not even like half of the Daily Mail. I'd love to see the readership, like the stats on Daily Mail and Daily Express readership across the 2 weeks after Prince Philip died. Because I can guarantee, like, people like my dad, right? He reads the Mail. I'm pretty sure my mum used to read the Mail, although I think after Brexit she actually sort of woke up from that horrible coma that she was in. She was like, I'm not buying that shit anymore. And good for her. But I feel like if you were a habitual purchaser of the Daily Mail, but let's say you're not massively into the royals, like you find the whole thing a little bit weird. If it said like 25 pages of exclusive Daily Mail coverage, wouldn't you be like, I'll give it a fucking miss today? Like, my dad is not a huge royalist. He doesn't really care about that stuff. If he saw the Daily Mail with fucking 25 pages of coverage about, you know, the Queen's death, I don't know if he'd buy it. I think he'd be like, oh, this is weird. So why are these people pumping this fucking nonsense out? Like, I saw this this Twitter account earlier. I don't know if I'm following her or if she's just one of a myriad accounts that surface on my For You feed now. Because I've interacted with her like once or twice here and there. Anyway, I think the account is called A Girl Called Lena. And she popped a tweet out earlier and it said something along the lines of, you know, everyone is saying in the stats that they don't care about this fucking coronation. People are angry at the cost of it being handed to the public having to foot the bill for this, when we're talking about a guy who is, his own estate has just been revealed to be like 1.6 billion. He's a fucking billionaire. And he's like, yeah, you lot wouldn't mind picking up the tab for my party, would you? Like, what the, like, people are angry about that. They're angry about fucking £30 million being spent on portraits of King Charles for like your local council and schools. You know, people are angry. It's a cost of living crisis. They can barely afford a fucking loaf of bread. And this motherfucker's like, yeah, you'll pick up the tab for my part. You know, people are pissed off. They already don't like him. They're already bored of the royals. The stats confirm all of this. And yet, and all of these media conglomerates are losing viewers and readership by publishing all this stuff, and it's still being pumped out. And that's what this A Girl Called Lena lady was saying earlier. She was like, how fucking weird is this country that people, like, the stats are clear. the polls are there saying people don't care about this stuff, and yet it is just being bombarded to us. I mean, sometimes it's just beyond parody. Sometimes it's like, I saw one earlier, an article in The Telegraph, God help me, and you won't fucking believe this, right? This is it's an Alison Pearson article, so maybe you will believe it. And literally anything is on the table when that mad fucking. I was about to drop the C-bomb there. I feel bad though. Like I don't want to. Like I don't like her, but I don't like her so much that I'm willing to be thrown into the realms of being labelled a complete misogynist. I'll call her a mad bitch. I can say mad bitch, right? Anything's on the table when that mad bitch is concerned. There we go. But the title, the headline from her piece today was like, Charles and Camilla's love story is the greatest love story of all time. Charles and Camilla's love story is the greatest love story of all time. Are you fucking medicated, Alison? What is going on? Like, could you imagine Romeo and Juliet overhearing that at a fucking cafe or something? Like, yeah, they say Charles and Camilla's romance is the greatest love story of all time. Romeo and Juliet are over on the other table here. Like, what? Are you fucking high? Are we that far down the, like, I thought we were quite romantic, babe, but we not, like, it's insane. I replied back to this thing, because I can't remember who it was now. A lady on LBC tweeted it. And she was like, she screenshotted the article as, Charles and Camilla, greatest love story of all time. And then she replied, she like quote tweets it. She goes, oh, come on now. And you know what? Like, there's no sort of keyboard key or symbol for sarcasm, is there? But I just think that's oh, come on now. And I replied back. I was like, if theirs is the greatest love story of all time, second only to Lorraine and Biff from Back to the Future. Just how the fuck? I mean, look, I don't want to teach you all to suck eggs. I don't want to go over stuff that we already know, but pan out a little bit. Let's just revisit some of the hits, shall we? Some of the pinch points of the Charles and Camilla courtship. He was already fucking married. She's fucking him on the side, ruining his relationship. He's phoning Camilla when he's leaving to say, ta-ta, my love, to Camilla, whilst Diana's there in Heathrow. He's going off on a trip, I think it was to Africa or something. He leaves her alone, his new wife, and the last person he speaks to before he gets on the plane is Camilla. And Diana's fucking explode. I don't know why I know this stuff. Why do I know this? Such is the power of the Buckingham Palace PR department. They just fucking pump this shit into your brain and it lives there rent-free. But anyway, that's what he did. He was already having an affair around the time of his marriage, of his wedding. Diana wanted to, like, bail on the wedding, but her sisters kind of talked to her. They were like, look, it's too late. Too late. You're going to have to do it. Whatever will be, will be. You'll sort it out. It's okay. Just go through with it. So she went through with it. But yeah, immediately afterwards, he left her on her own. And the last person he spoke to before he got on a plane was Camilla. Diana's in tears. So he's a cunt. He's just a fuck. I could drop the C-bomb about him. No one's going to call me a misogynist for calling King Charles a cunt. They might call me disrespectful, but I'm okay with that. But yeah, so that was going on. Their relationship, their romance destroyed that marriage and grossly affected the lives of his two sons. And the ripple effects of that are still happening today. We haven't even touched on the fact that Diana fucking died. Would that have happened if Camilla and Charles's timeless love story had never taken place? I don't know. Jury's out, mate. The greatest love story ever told. The greatest love story ever to have been told that involved the death of a fucking princess and a torrid affair and bringing shame on the royal family and... Yeah. Nice one, Alison. Good stuff. Good journalism. I mean, every time I rag on the royals, man, every time I get people back in my timeline, all up in my grill, going like, yeah, but they, you know what, they bring in enough money though, don't they? You know, it's actually a very good investment aid when you think about it, because like actually what happens, the maths aid, yeah, is that everyone in the UK, let's say there's 70 million people, or, you know, thereabouts, 70 million people in the UK, and we all just pay like 60 pence a year, and 60p times 70 million, right, that supports them. And then they bring in like 5 billion every year, 5 billion pounds they bring. I'm like, you have such a low opinion of the United Kingdom, don't you? Like, you honestly believe that if we wound the monarchy the fuck down, that people would just stop coming here? That people would no longer be interested in England. They wouldn't come to visit the castles. They wouldn't be interested in seeing, like, you know, the former royal families, like crown jewels. They wouldn't want to walk around the Tower of London, one of the oldest buildings, you know, that you can go walk around in the world, I guess. Like, they would immediately lose interest in all of that history. You wouldn't get Americans, you know, people from America whose families originate in England. They wouldn't want to come back and look at their ancestral roots, no? Okay. Or, like, you have such a low opinion of your own country, and it's just fucking bizarre, isn't it? Because it's always the same people who will then go like, no, I bloody love my country. My country's bloody amazing. I'm a patriot. Why are you always talking it down? Bloody Remainer mind virus. You're part of the blob, aren't you? You're part of the tofu-eating wokerati. You need to shut the fuck up and be a bit more patriotic, Aid. And then the second that you turn around, you go like, well, do you think we could survive? Do you think this country could survive if we abolished the monarchy? Absolutely not. No, we're hopeless. We need them. It's like, what kind of weird, fucked up bootlicker bullshit is that? We are the best country in the world, but we definitely couldn't survive that. No. We took over. We used to run the bloody world, Aid. We are amazing. We're Great Bloody Britain. Britannia rules the waves, Aid. We're amazing. Waving your flag flapping all around your face. Do you think we could survive if we wound down the monarchy? Absolutely not. It's insane, isn't it? I mean, especially like when you look at other places with a lot of history, right? France, you know, we're so drunk on our own history in this country that everything's about the Tower of London and Henry VIII and Charles II and Charles I and like, whatever. We're so drunk on our own history and the empire and the colonies and all the rest of it. We very rarely stop to consider the history that is literally on our doorstep from our closest neighbours. You know? Like, France don't have a monarchy anymore. And people still... Do you know, I think is it the Palace in Versailles is the most visited building, like, in that genre, for want of a better word. It's the most visited. It tops all of them. And they don't have a royal family to bring people in. So what kind of stupid argument is like, oh, if we got rid of our royals, nobody would come here anymore? Do you think they're actually expecting to see the royals? I mean, I know tourists can be stupid, but how dumb do you think they are? How stupid do you have to be to buy a fucking ticket to the UK and be like, I'm going on holiday. I'm going to see London. I'm going to see the Tower of London. I'm going to go to Windsor. Do you think you'll see the Queen? Yeah, that's where I'm going. Like, they're not that stupid. You go to these places to walk around the Windsor Castle stuff. You pay £17 for a glossy, overpriced program. You buy an I Love London t-shirt and you fuck off home. That's what you do. That is a standard textbook traditional tourist experience. And I'm happy to say that for once I do still have confidence in the UK that we might just survive that particular dose of tumult. Oh man, shit winds me up. Anyway, look, this has been fun, guys. Let's wrap up here. The hour, when I talk to myself for an hour, it always seems to just fly by, man. And I'm like, oh, I've only been talking for half an hour. I like, what else am I going to talk about? Like, there's always this sort of mini me in the back of my brain that's sort of 3 or 4 sentences ahead of what I'm actually saying. It sounds like what's it called when you've got like voices in your head? Schizophrenic. It sounds like sort of schizophrenic, doesn't it? But it's like I'm saying stuff, but I'm 3 sentences ahead. in my brain, and I'm panicking about what I'm going to talk about next. I'm like, I've only been talking for 30 minutes. This is going to be a mad short episode. What can I talk about next? And then I look at the time. I'm like, fuck me. I've been talking 55 minutes. That's insane. Where did that time go? Anyway, some of you listening to this will be like, no, I mean, this has felt every one of those 55 minutes, Aid. This is, it's been a long time. I'm ready for a break. But anyway, guys, that's it. That's it from me. Thank you so much for continuing to listen to the podcast. If you are not on the Patreon yet, do give it a look. It's patreon.com/Aid Thompson with an IN on the end. Starts at £3 a month, so it could be super cheap. It's just enough for a coffee for me, and it signifies a little doff of the cap from you to me. It's basically you saying, cheers for the episodes, Aid. Cheers for the pod. Enjoying it. Here's a little something to continue to support it. And it all goes into this. I haven't touched any of the money yet from the Patreon backers. It's just in an account, basically building up so that I can use that money eventually to invest in, I don't know, like pay the rent for a podcast studio somewhere that's a bit more professional than my fucking shed. Or, get some decent cameras and start getting guests in, like literally in person. So it's all going towards literally the podcast. Like I'm not withdrawing the money and blowing it on hookers and coke yet. I mean, we'll see how much the podcast studio is first. If I've got a little bit left over, might delve down some hookers and coke kind of routes. I'm not sure yet. I'm just saying, look, don't rule it out. I'm an open book. I'm going to say it's probably unlikely because since Brexit, I mean, the quality of prostitute has tanked significantly. My main reason for voting Remain was that I didn't want to go back to British prostitutes, and it's hard out there. It's disappointing. So I'll probably just spend it on cameras and mics and shit. So jump on patreon.com/Aid Thompson. You get exclusive access to the Discord, the instant messaging thing that we all jump in. So there's me. I go in there every day. We talk shit about Tories. All of the other Patreon backers are in there. You also get first look at tickets for live events like this Sunday sermon that I'm putting on in July. So that will go out to Patreon backers first, and then it'll be ticketed to everybody else. You get episodes of the podcast 2 days ahead of everyone else. So this is a live stream right now, right, on YouTube. But then it will immediately be withdrawn, and it will go on Patreon, where those guys can listen to it for 2 days. And then it will re-emerge to the rest of you on Monday. So if you're hearing this on Monday, you kind of, you're 2 days later than the Patreon guys. And also, finally, most importantly, you get credited at the end of episodes like this one. Shall I do it quickly? Let's run through the names, shall we? I should have prepped this. I'll get it up. Sounds dodgy. I'll get the names up now for you. Here we go. So special thanks, big thanks to my Patreon backers, Aaron, Peter, Rodri, Samantha, Mojo Sabian, Bowman, Jeff, and then we've got Elsa, Eddie, Kai, Stuart, Anthony, and Pingu. David, Alex, Chris, Silent, T-Rex, Sarah, and Kerry. Thank you so much. Nice to see those of you that came down to the Patreon meetup last night. Looking forward to seeing the rest of you very, very soon. Until next time, take care of yourselves. I'm out this motherfucker.